Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Accommodation Show. I am joined this week by the amazing, the incredible Kate Branch from Emerald City Hotels. Welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
I've been looking forward to this because I met you at No Vacancy, which is a conference for hotels or pretty much anyone in the accommodation space. We haphazardly ended up on a panel together and we were sitting next to each other and talking all things marketing, social media. And every time you would talk, my eyes would light up. I'll be like, oh God, I really need to get this lady onto the podcast and share her insights. So I'm really excited. It was such a pleasure to meet you at that event.
Thank you. And we both share a passion for AI, which is always a great start.
Oh, wow. Look, let's not go down that path too much because like my brain is exploding. Some of the things that came out this week have been there. But yeah, absolutely. It's such a fascinating piece of technology and it's changing the way that you and I are doing our work, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Use it every day. And I'll go into that with strategies. Yeah.
Fantastic. So folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the amazing Kate introduce herself in a second and let everybody know what she does as a social media manager. I think maybe, yeah, let's just start off with that.
Great. Okay. So my background is I have a degree in photography and a master's in psychology. So I was a photographer. Got a lot of clients that wanted social media for their hotels. I love to travel and really got training in social media. And I've also done a certificate in behavioral economics. And I just love the way images sell. I love what draws people in, and we're in the best industry. We're in travel. So I get to make images that inspire other people. I'm very lucky. And I want to meet other people in the industry. And I just love sharing my knowledge.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to take photos of like when you're traveling, right? Rather than sort of like the subject matter is really easy to photograph, right? If you do it right.
Oh, love it. I just love my job. So I'm very lucky.
Awesome. So folks, today we are going to be talking about content creation. And Kate very adequately, that's not the right word, but very nicely said that after No Vacancy, people kept on approaching her and saying, hey, what kind of content should I be creating? And that got her thinking, it's like, oh great, it would be great to cover this topic today. So if you are struggling to figure out what kind of content to create, how to make it work, and find the reasons why you're creating the content, that is what we're going to be covering today. And this episode will apply to anyone that's in a short-term rental, but also more importantly, a lot of the examples that we'll use today will be around hotels. And this is great because this is really that convergence between hospitality and accommodation in general and tourism. So I'm very pumped for the topic. Tell me, when you were at No Vacancy and people were coming up to you and asking this particular question, what were they asking?
I was actually quite shocked with they just felt like they had a block, that they didn't have the budget to hire a social media manager, which you don't need. You can teach yourself. And they kept outsourcing it to younger people thinking it was something that was disconnected to them. It's not. Or you can really engage your staff to create the images, but you can post. It's your shop window, it's your money, it's your income. And at Emerald City Hotels where I work, we have a 5-star property and a 3-star property. So I'm creating content across all different ranges, and it's so important. It's your shop window and it's how you connect. It's that extra handshake to a guest. And it really can, I mean, if you look at your conversions in Google Search Console, you can see how many people come from your Instagram posts to direct bookings on your website. It's a real funnel. So it's really important you take charge of that.
So let's talk about that really quickly. So I'm heading off in a few days, but actually now this is going to be in hindsight. I will have done a couple of conferences. One of the things that when we talk about book direct websites, it's really hard. It's really hard to sort of get it right and to do the marketing, and particularly with social media, because if you do a pay-per-click campaign, so that's where you're paying Google or Facebook for an ad, then you can get that attribution really quite clearly that basically says you've run the advert, this is how many conversions you get and this is how much money you're making. With social media, it's a lot more opaque. What are your views?
I really like, so Google started a new, they just had analytics originally, and that was quite esoteric for people, small business owners to understand. Now they have a very simplified search console, and I find if you get your web designer to, and you would know this is your industry, you put the tag in, when you go into your search console, it breaks down where everyone's come from. And it's even broken down the social media channels. And the Search Console interface is almost like taking analytics and making it really easy to understand. And so everyone, hoteliers can just see, oh, I got this much from Instagram, this much from TikTok, this much from the Google ads, which will also show you. But I think it's really important that they see that data and see the conversion.
Yeah. And is it manageable for a small business owner? I mean, I imagine that there'll be a lot of people coming up to you that are on a smaller scale. What is your, like, let's be real, right? Like, we don't have enough time, so
No,
we can't do it all. So
no.
what are the steps that people need to take in terms of that content creation?
Okay, the steps is definitely manage your Google My Business page, and you've done a great YouTube video showing people how to do that step by step. Done. Anything else, the only other thing I would do is Google Search Console and start an account there because it's really easy to understand. Instagram for travel because it's all visual, and Facebook because you need Facebook for that older demographic. And don't negate Facebook because a lot of high net worth individuals who are older, maybe 40 onwards, do still mainly use Facebook. So people, you might have a younger social media manager that says it's all about TikTok, which it is, and we have a TikTok account, but Facebook is very important. It converts. And if you have your direct bookings link under the photo, make it really easy for the user to book straight away, and then boost that post. It's very important. Then I'd look at TikTok, then I'd look at Pinterest, then I'd look at all the other ones. But definitely Google Search Console, which is really an analytics feedback, Instagram and Facebook.
And to set up the Google Search Console, I'm not sure if I've got a video for that, but make sure everybody hit me up. Let me know in the comments if you want a video, and I will make one and show you the back end of that, because it is a very powerful tool, and you can integrate it with your analytics as well. So they kind of all work together to give you a lot more visibility over whether what you're doing is actually functioning and making sense. All right, so we're saying ultimately that Instagram is way up there. We've got all of our Google stuff that we sort of optimize anyway, but then we say Instagram, Facebook, then potentially the other platforms. But let's not cover those off today, because you and I both know that both the best performing ones are Instagram and Facebook at the moment, depending on what you're at for our category. So then we've decided, okay, cool, I've been wanting to do Instagram and I never really get around to it, and it all seems difficult. What kind of content am I meant to be making?
Well, the most important thing is, and you've done videos on reading insights. There was a great person, I've reached out to them. You did the Instagram with the English gentleman,
Paul,
Paul.
the social
Yes,
media
I thought,
hotel, yeah.
he's done great. So check out Bart and Paul's Instagram on reading your impressions, and you will see what people like. But definitely don't be scared. Get out there, try different things. I have a rule of thumb. So the first image will be your best room shot, right? You do a best room shot photo. The next one, always a location. What's around the area? What are going to draw people in? People like to see where they can take their own photos, what the area is going to show. And then the third one, hotel staff smiling. If you can show them as you're walking in at the desk, greeting them, and you can repeat that formula until you're more comfortable. So if you just start up with a really simple formula, hotel room, location, smiling staff. And then you just start that and you repeat that as much as you can until you get comfortable, and then you'll start seeing what people react to, what they comment on, what they want to see more of, what gets more likes, and you go from there. The most important thing, and I said this on the panel, is there's a free app called Lightroom, and that is done by Adobe Photoshop, and you put a filter over each image because the room shot will be taken by your photographer that created the shots for your website. The staff might take the photo of the other staff that they've sent to you, and the location you might have taken yourself. So we're looking at some pretty average photos. put them through Lightroom, and AI actually retouches them, pick what is called a preset, and that preset will do the same image wash over each image to give a consistency. So when someone goes to your Instagram page, it looks like a professional has created and curated your content. So we need to do hacks as small business owners that makes it look like we've had this high-end agency create this beautiful feed when it's really just us on our phone applying AI imagery and AI retouching that just takes the photos to the next level. And that's my best hack.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I really like that hack. And that was one that you mentioned on the panel, and it's one of those ones that I know about it, but I just never really spend the time to really think about it. Oh yeah, that's a really great way to even take sort of an image that might be a little bit average and kind of normalize it across the whole range. And then you get consistency, and that consistency is very important, because otherwise for a human being to look at it, it's a bit jarring. It doesn't kind of make sense.
And it actually, people like consistency. And then if you can pick a preset, the great thing about this preset, which is another word for filter, except when you go on your phone and you pick a filter, it's really just a bleached out wash over your image. These presets, they actually integrate AI to kind of bring up the right whites, and they do a wash that can apply to a food photo or a location. So even for our premier 5-star property, I use the free preset. I haven't even paid. It's called Warm Contrast, and I use it for all the images at the 5-star property. So the 3-star property, I actually just lift the vibrancy and lift the shadows and keep it quite simple. I don't even have a wash, because I just want to show what you're getting for 3-star. So you can really play around with it, and then each time I put a photo in, it really takes it to the next level.
Yeah, awesome. I like the idea as well when you said start off with a room shot. Obviously critical, because it gives people context as to the fact that you are selling rooms. You got to show your product.
Yeah.
Then you talk about local things to do, which is great, because you can leverage, the local restaurant, the local cafe, the zoo, whatever it is, and have points of interest. And the staff, the pictures of the staff, the smiling staff, the hospitality. You know that you're going to be looked after, and that's one of those things that I think doesn't get talked about enough. And especially smaller business owners, they generally tend to struggle with this particular point. Now, if you go onto any of the major brands out there, there'll always be people first. From the biggest fast food chains to the biggest airlines in the world, you go to their website, it's always a smiling stewardess or a steward or a staff member in a fast food chain. Similar thing, right?
I offer, so for our staff at the Albert, I say whoever's going to pose for a photo for me as I walk in, take one of the complimentary bottle of wine from our bar to take home. Obviously not drink on site, but we have lovely stuff.
I thought you'd have it with them, wouldn't you?
With stuff like, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, look, whoever wants to be in this shot, I've got to take one of walking in. I just need a smiling greeting face. You can take home our beautiful Prosecco bottle to have with your family and friends for just taking that image. And then they all wanted to do it all of a sudden. And it's about rewarding them too, because then also they show their family, and it's quite funny because then they start following the hotel Instagram, because I see their name come up. I'm managing the whole thing, and it makes it fun for them. Once you've gotten used to those 3 posts, there is a level you can take it to the next level, and it gets a little bit more psychological. But Brian Chesky, the co-founder of Airbnb, he did an enormous study. I think when you become so successful and wealthy, you can just start, petitioning all these studies. But he wanted to know why people traveled. And it was a fascinating interview. I read and heard the podcast. And he said people travel for 3 reasons. To experience new cultures, which is what the location shot shows, is the culture that people are going to experience. To sort our heads out about the future, which is very true. I travel hoping to get a little bit of reflection. So then I'll think, oh, I might shoot a bath shot. So I'll run the bubble bath in our best suite. I'll put a bottle of champagne by the bath and I'll take this bath shot. It amazes me. I think, can I post another bath shot? I can, because especially on Facebook, because you've got the older generation that they're empty nesters, they like to travel, they travel in luxury, and they just see it and they go, I want that, and they just buy it. And the third one is to revive relationships. And that's a really important one. And that's a really hard one to create content for. And that's when user generated content does come in. So we're very fortunate at one of our properties, we shoot a lot of weddings. So I've made sure to make great relationships with the photographers because they send me the wedding photos that they take of the bride kissing the pre-bridal getting ready and all these amazing emotional photos. But if a guest takes a beautiful photo, I then ask for permission to share it and I send a bottle of wine to their room. Yes, I'm giving out a lot of wine here, but I really, really value user-generated content that can capture something that you really can't put two models in a room and pretend to capture. You can't create reviving relationships. It has to be someone on site creating that shot that you're like, I'd really like to use that. And then they also have a connection to the property and they love it. Once you ask permission, I've never had a no. Never had someone say no. And with those images, you might want to think about making them black and white because you're really honing in on reviving relationships. So if the bride's mother and the bride's mother seeing her in the dress for the first time and the wedding photographer sent me that photo, I'll black and white that shot. And bingo.
Nice. What I like about these tips is they're super practical. They're things that people can take and they can do, and it kind of makes sense from the outset. So when we're trying to answer the question as how to make content, well, here you go. Here's exactly what you need to do. It also strikes me in terms of reviving relationships. Qantas did an ad which was exactly about that. I think the son came from Japan, from what I remember, surprised his mum, who he hadn't seen through the whole of COVID. And I think, from what I understand, that story was a true story of that actually happening, and then bringing him over, and then capturing that moment at the end of saying, "Hey, we travelled to share those experiences." So when we think about those experiences as well, getting shots of things that people are doing in the local area, be it at a bar, at a cafe, going to the zoo, pushing on a swing, going for a walk. All of those things, you don't necessarily also have to even get the shot yourself. You could either AI generate it or find some stock imagery that kind of makes sense and fits in. For example, let's say you're promoting around Valentine's Day, a couple walking through a forest kind of thing, if that's what your property is all about, in black and white, and put it in, and then people will understand that that's the kind of content that you're making.
I was amazed with what I could create with AI. So one of our properties is near Balmoral Beach, which is one of Sydney's most prestigious beaches. And I went into one of the AI imagery apps. I will bring it up in a minute because I want the listeners to know about it. And I said, woman walking on Balmoral Beach looking out at the sunset. And it gave me 4 sets and they were usable. They were actually usable. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
particularly if you then put that filter on top of it,
correct.
to then make it fit. Absolutely, and
Discord.
even go on.
It was on Discord and the actual, let me get you the app for people because it's really easy to use.
And I know the app as well. But Kate, you're going to hate me because Canva are doing it now as well. So there's actually on the left-hand side, I think it's under apps. You can go there and you can actually create the images. They've actually integrated that. I think you have to be on the paid plan, but 100% Canva will do it now, which is amazing.
Canva's easy. We love, yeah, it's got its definite. Yeah.
I should just work for them, I think. Cool. So yeah, just the stuff that they're coming up with is incredible. And Aussie founder, so got to love that. Now, You said that there was a few examples that you had, or at least one example of success in terms of creating
Absolutely.
content, and I would love to hear some of those stories.
I would like to share this with fellow hoteliers because I just find these people very inspirational. So there's one American woman, she's a hotelier, and her name is Christy Wolf. Have you heard of her? She's
I have
amazing.
not. I have not heard of
Okay,
Christy
good.
Wolf.
I'm glad because I would like to tell you about her. So she started off, she's got an amazing story. She started off, it's on her website, just the first hotel, it was actually an Airbnb.
Hmm.
And she lived in Idaho. She didn't have a lot of capital. We're not talking about somebody that just inherited millions and started a
Yeah.
hotel brand. And she created, it's called the Giant Idaho Potato. It's a giant potato experience. Okay, it's
Okay.
unique. It's something else, and it did really well on Airbnb because of her social media campaign. And if you go to Big Idaho Potato, and it's out of left field, but I was watching it going, well, that's cool, that's cool. Anyway, as she grew her brand, she got more and more higher end. And recently, she created a property called Moon Pass. And through social media, she started an Indiegogo campaign. And this is the brilliance of her. She raised 683,000 US dollars to build. So she bought the land. She asked for people to buy nights ahead via social media through Indiegogo. So Indiegogo, she said, please buy these nights, pre-buy them, and then I can build it. She raised the capital to build the property, which is like a big, we'll put it in the show notes, the Moon Pass Lookout, and people could buy 2 nights or 3 nights for, the right amount, 200, 300 US a night. And she now has the money to build it. Plus, she has a year worth of bookings, and she did it via her social media and of the Big Idaho Potato and all the other hotels that she's got. And Indiegogo then spread the story as well. So that is something that's look, I was just gobsmacked. The campaign's got 2 more days, and I thought, how
Wow.
inspirational, how amazing is this woman? And she started off with a giant Airbnb potato. Like it's literally a potato, but you stay in a giant potato, which I probably never would. But I'd stay at Moon Pass and I'd buy 2 nights. And if I lived in the US, I'd back her straight away. But I don't know the next time I'll be in Idaho.
I don't know.
But yeah, yeah.
Worth the
So
trip.
yeah, but as an entrepreneur and a hotelier, what an amazing use of social media. She has her first year revenue down, she has it fully booked, and she has the money to build the property.
Yeah. So I guess there's a few things. So one, that story is hysterical because I remember many years ago going on a trip, and then they took me to the Big Banana, I think it was. And I'm like, why are we at a Big Banana? And they're like, it's amazing. I'm like, I just my brain just couldn't understand it. And then I learned that Australia like to build big fruits and vegetables, and people go and visit
Yeah,
them. It's just the most peculiar human behavior ever, but it's kind of fun as well. But there you
yeah.
go, yeah, potato as well. It's gonna do wonders. But I think the moral of the story as well is that I mean you can do a lot with your imagination, but looking at her journey is probably the most fascinating part, right?
She documents everything. So if you look her up, she's got a YouTube channel. She documents building it. She documents staying in it. She is the story. Her building of the hotels and her building her brand from nothing uh, is the story. So her whole social media is just, I mean, it's captivating. I follow her, I support her, and it just shows you if you really want to go that extra level, which I personally don't because she seems to just always be on social. That's a lot of commitment,
Hmm.
but just fascinating and just shows you how far you can go. And I'm inspired by her. It doesn't mean you have to go and do that and show everyone how you've built your hotel and how you do everything, but it's just inspiring to show you if you think outside the box what she's created is quite phenomenal. Another American company which really inspires me, and they were in the Condé Nast Trends Travel Trends Report 2023, which we can put a link to. It's a great report to read. Is have you heard of Habitas?
I think I have, yes,
Oh,
but I don't know what for. But I know the name.
yeah, they another group I'm immensely inspired by. So they create their hotels as flat packs. So they build their hotels in South America.
Yeah.
Their first property, I think, was in Tallinn, Estonia, or it might have been in Costa Rica. And so the labor cost is quite low, but it's a flat pack luxury hotel. And they document that all through their storytelling. And so then they create these hotels. So because they've documented the story, you're staying in this 5-star property, which one day I'd like to do. And you're like, wow, this was created by 3D printing.
Yeah.
Like it's
Really
not
cool.
just an amazing experience being in the middle of a desert in this little cabin. This cabin was created by a 3D printer, and that's part of their story. And so they share this story on social media, and you just want to be a part of the experience. And once again, I'm not going to flat pack a property and send it over to Estonia, but just watching these people and being inspired by these people that are taking it to the other end, it gives you little ideas. Okay, might not be sharing how we build hotels, but why don't we share how we're putting the menu together? Or why don't we ask for feedback about, any colors that you might like? Or, you start to think, okay, let's start telling the story, especially in stories behind the scenes over Facebook and Instagram. You can share a bit of the behind the scenes. And I do that now because these people have showed me people want to see the work you put in. They want to see you're a hotelier, you're working hard, and that's part of your story.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I think that's a key thing is finding what that story is, which is going to be interesting. So if we go back to that original question from before, people, I don't know what kind of stories to put up, because they just don't know what's interesting. How do they like? Okay, so they can go and they can look at the different profiles and go, well, I'm not going to build a potato.
Correct.
I'm not. I don't have flat packs. Thanks a lot, Kate and Bart, but what do I do?
Okay, so for an example, so at the Albert, we have a lot of brides. So what I'm doing is I'm creating content the next couple of weeks where there is a friend of mine who's recently got engaged, and I've said to her, have a free night, bring your partner, and we are going to do an engagement evening. So I'm going to have the room filled with candles. I'm going to have rose petals on the bed, and they are a genuine couple. And I'm going to just have him repropose to her, and I'm going to capture that. So I'm not going to put these fake photos on the main feed. I'm actually going to shoot, hey, this is how I'd create a proposal if I'm already married with kids, but this is a great idea that you can do at the Albert. So it's going to be a behind the scenes. The staff are going to film me shooting her and creating this pretend proposal and showing a behind the scenes of how we create for our guests a proposal evening. Now, that's not a main tile photo, that's a story, but it's a behind the scenes of all the hard work. The girls have to put the flower petals, I have to create the candles, the girl's going to walk in, and showing a behind the scenes of the extra level our staff go to, because people like to see that hard work. They like to see the thread of Habitas and Christy Wolf is that people want to see the work you put behind your property. They actually respect it, and it does reap benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I mean, that's the other thing as well, is that a lot of hotels or brands, they would always kind of not expose the people that work there and, the work that goes into it. And nowadays, people want that connection with the people that are running the property or owning the property. So they know they kind of want to be supporters of those people.
Absolutely. Our private chef, he's amazing. And I did a lovely little black and white of him preparing the meal in our kitchen, which is not the most photogenic. I mean, a hotel kitchen's not, Instagram, but it was just, he cooks with such heart. I just wanted to capture that. And I think that's really important because then people know him. They're like, oh, you're in the photo, and he loves it. And yeah, it's really important to show the hard work that your staff put in.
Yeah, so that's great. So you've got I did a presentation a couple of years ago, No Vacancy. We talked about content pillars and different things that we can talk about within our business and try to align them. I love the local area stuff. That for me is probably one of the easiest wins and one of those ones that you can just get going on straight away. The stories is incredible. especially if you've had tenure there. You can go and show photos from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, from where you've been to where you've come from, the story of maybe the hardships, or maybe not even the hardships, of all the successes you've had. All those stories people are really interested in, but that does require a little bit of planning, because you have to go back and find all of that content. And then the last part that I'd like to ask you about is just the content around the product itself. So, you said a picture of the room, that's okay. Obviously, that helps. But what other kind of things can we do in terms of content about our product?
So that is where I engage influencers, and people are in two camps about this. Experiencing the hotel. So actually running the bath, eating the food, drinking the wine on the balcony. And there's an app in Australia where you can hire influencers in exchange for experiences. So you actually don't pay for them to create this content. So have you heard of Gifted, the app Gifted? It's a new app and it's rolling
No, I
out.
think there's a couple of them, but I haven't used any of these people myself. I kind of almost want to use them. I don't have a hotel to show, but
Yeah.
I get the power of these people. But I'll keep going.
So the wonderful thing about this is you don't have to create the content. And before there was an app called Tribe, which is very popular in America.
That was the one. That was the one I know. Yeah.
Hey, Tribe and Qantas use Tribe. I think we all know who Qantas is. Holiday Inn have used Tribe. Many high-end hotels have. We can't afford Tribe, basically, as a small hotel brand. We use Gifted. It was started by an Australian, Taryn Williams is her name, and I think it's rolled out in America as well. So it's for all influencers. They're on this app. You as a service go, I'm offering you a free dinner. I'm offering you a free night. What can you create for me? The brief goes out. You have about quite a few influencers come back. They show you their portfolio. I always go for travel influencers. They then stay the night for free. You go, yes, let's do a deal. You say, I would like you on the bar with the welcome drink. I would like you in a robe. The robe at the moment is just everyone shooting the robe. Have you seen the new Crown campaign, the Crown Hotel campaign?
I've heard about it. I've read about it in the media, but I haven't actually seen it because I don't own a television.
The robe. It's just someone, I mean, they overlook the best view in Sydney and they've just photographed someone. It's all about Instagram. People want photos in the robe. This Crown campaign is just a model in a robe. It's got none of the amenities. But anyway, I digress. So the influence will stay on site. It costs you no money. You let them know what you would like and they create it for you. And their level of content is impressive. I've been very impressed.
And look, that's the most one of the most common questions I get asked on our Facebook group. That's the Accommodation Owners and Managers Facebook group. So join it if you're not a member. But that is one of the most common questions about influencers. And there's been a massive misconception about influencers, and a lot of people will be really negative on it. They're like, don't get influencers, they just want things for nothing and that sort of thing. Influencers have changed. Now they're content creators, right? And you can give them a bit of a framework as to what you want, but let them do the creation. Find a content creator that you think represents your brand, that looks really good, that has a right fit. Get them to come in, and that kind of content, for you to sit there and to figure it out and get your team, it's an awful lot of work, but for them, it's what they do for a living, and it's what they're really good at. Massively valuable tool, especially if you can get lots of video and lots of content, then really it's money for a jam. But Kate, we have a problem. The problem is that our episode is coming towards the end. So if you've got any final 30-second thoughts, I'm going to let you go. Is there anything that we're missing and anything that you wanted to say?
No, I think that was a great session. And look, I really enjoyed coming on. And enjoy. Share with me. I'm on LinkedIn. Find me and share with me the content you're creating. And I like to meet other people in the industry.
Yeah, we want to see it. So on the bottom of the YouTube video, then share your links. If you're listening on the podcast, I think even Spotify have got a way of leaving comments as well. So make sure that you do. Let us know how you're getting on with your content creation. Now, folks, if you are listening on a podcast, we would appreciate a review. The reviews help us get amazing guests like Kate onto the show. It creates credibility for us. It helps us do what we do. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Did you know that 110% of you that aren't subscribed at the moment, that's everyone in the future that's listening as well. So make sure that you give us a subscribe, because it does let us continue doing this and get guests like Kate and guests from all over the world to share their experience and their knowledge in tight packed format for you to be able to improve your business. Kate, you are absolutely wonderful. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your day. We've had multiple phone calls. You've put a lot of effort and thought into this. I appreciate you so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you around and potentially doing something more with you in the future. Thank you so
Fantastic.
much.
Thank you so much, Bart, and thank you everyone. Bye.
Cheers. Take care. Have a good day.